Necessities unfortunately take precedence. I do apologize. Are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent, excellent. So, once again, and for the record, for the umpteenth time, this is officially In the Shadow of the White City, Season 2, Episode 3, Epilogue One Shot with Everett Yeager to do your best. Now, when we last left Everett, there were some revelations that had come to light, namely that he'd revealed to the reigning Dom of Dalton, as well as security advisor Dwayne Mitchell, that Abner was in fact an agent for the Second Inquisition. Despite James's initial promise that they would take care of Abner, the overwhelming moment was that as a city, as a whole, as a village, Dalton is not against Second Inquisition because they have positions, agents, provocateurs within various government agencies. And while James was 100% honest that they would tend to Abner, the idea he had in mind was that the revelation would be between the two of them, not something official. That his aims were to use the Tremere Wiles to eventually put Abner and his duplicity into the grave at a most advantageous moment. With all of that hanging over Everett's head, the next night, after having more private conversations with James, where would he arise? Where would he awaken? Would he head to his haven? Would he head to James's haven after drinks and conversation? Would he seek out other lodgings? How would he die for the day?
He would definitely go back to his house and probably a bit tipsy because him and James would probably drink blood that's had booze in it. So he definitely was like I'll drive home. It's okay. And he ended up at his house.
Okay. With that being the case, awakening for the evening, the disposable burner near at hand. And while Kendrick cannot, in truth, have a hangover, they in truth can't be dehydrated to the point where it requires several hours of refreshment for them to right themselves, it very much still is a little problematic. The blood that it was imbibed, the conversations held, some of them not quite as crystal clear as they should be. Yet the phone remains. Looking at the burner, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll Everett's rouse for the evening? Okay. Well, taking a quick gander here. As the beast who refuses to come out to play, being peckish as is per his normal, but not spurred on to greater excesses of imbibing or stealing another's life's blood, Everett realizes that the mission before them is, while a group mission, also potentially so much more. They will be in a foreign place, whether it's Chicago, Gary, Indianapolis, or what have you. They will not be at home. So, what resources does Everett have to potentially scry out where this assistance is needed?
Pretty much, he's the type of person that he knows people or people know him. So if anything, if somebody even knows who he is, he probably could, get to know them a little better and have them as a type of contact or companion in different cities, especially if they're to some The two mills are somewhat connected throughout the cities, and they probably have like a generalization of something. So, like, say there's a two mill over there, and we're like, "Hey, what's up? Hey, whatever." And then, of course, I mean, I also I guess I'm kind of so-so. So, if anything, I rely on my so-so, and if push come to shove, well, I guess a little blood magic goes a long way.
It most assuredly does. That being the case, would you be so kind as go ahead and roll your charisma and either subterfuge or streetwise, whichever is higher, plus your Tremere status as a bonus. Hoo hoo hoo. And just like that, your phone, not your burner, rings and vibrates and all but calls out, "Hey, you have a phone call!" And clearly important because the number one is unlisted. Two, your number isn't the easiest thing to obtain.
He probably like takes out like a slow breath and he picks it up and he turns it on and he says, "Hello,
Mr. Yeager, how are you this evening?
I'm doing lovely. How about you?"
I could always be doing better. I have a request of you, if I might. I'm sure that we met in passing. I'm not sure if it's quite stood out to your recollection or not. But I am Mr. Dubiard. I'm sure that you're aware as to my status within the Tremere as a whole, though not specifically. There's a matter falling before the upper echelon of our chantry pertaining to Mrs. Sciatano's behavior. We have plans to have a not quite tribunal. That does seem a little bit offensive, but there is a judgment to be had, and there are several adjudicators that need to be chosen. Usaba, of course, has chosen quite a few, but Ernesto also has chosen in light of Sylvia being missing. I am wondering, could I potentially count upon your personage to serve as an adjudicator for the behaviors?
As he's saying that, Everett is probably just making notes in his head. Like when he says her name, he's like, "Yeah, that fucking bitch is, I hope she does what she did." But then again, she's like, "Well, this is type of the thing that Everett doesn't really like about us is that we have a real judgments and laws." But even though he has his, ethics and all that, he's like, "Yes, of course, you can always count on me to help the clan."
Excellent. We are planning for the within the next week. Ernesto has chosen the fourth day as the day to Dusabo may change things. He has, of course, is his independent self, as is his right as regent, of course. But we are looking at the fourth day from now. Do you believe that would work with your schedule?
Yes, let me check. Oh, yes, of course, I always have time for y'all. The fourth of the day.
Yes, yes. James decided that you should serve in his stead if potentially possible. I'm not sure if that works or not, but I was willing to give the region of the South Suburbs all due respects when it comes to this matter, as you both were there on premises. Without holding you too long, Mr. Yeager, I'd like to ask your knowledge and recollection of the pyramid as it is, of the chantry as it is, with Sylvia missing and her seat potentially being made available, would you be willing? Are you able to discern someone of significant note to rise to the second chair?
Quick question to the ST.
Mhm.
What exactly is her position?
Um, Sylvia is the sixth rank of the pyramid, and it works in reverse order. You are the first rank, James is the second, and then goes all the way to the seventh rank, which would be Dusable himself as regent. Sylvia and Erichto are the sixth rank, meaning that they are literally one step from the regent of the Midwest Chantry.
Oh shit! So they have some political power within the Tremere Chantry.
Yes. And with her disappearance for the last few weeks, with her not making the party, with many people not seeing her, that of course has several people salivating as to what can come, what can happen with them. Excuse me. Namely, there are several outliers you all have within the Midwestern area. But the highest five ranks of the pyramid, there's a lot of jostling for positions. There are currently, thanks to several things that have happened over the last few weeks, roughly five chairs open, five positions of various ranks that can be risen to within the chantry. With Sylvia's chair potentially going up for grabs, that makes it sixth position. One more, and it'll be a divine number, which means something most assuredly must be done.
Everyone is kind of taken back for him to be kind of open about her position being open, especially with somebody that's probably isn't that even high on the totem toe, which is kind of weird. But Hill says, well, I'm sure everybody will have their opinion, and I'm guessing everybody wants to put the hat in the ring. I'm glad you will take up the position if you will allow me to, but of course, there's people more important to take it up, and I understand that not everybody can get that position.
Not everyone can. The Without being too gauche and driving home the point, as a fifth ranked seat in the pyramid, there are myself, Norton, Bella, and of course Dusable's pet project, that witch from the shelter, that childer of Karen's, who up until recently has been all but a ghost within the chantry. It seems as if Dusable has found a way to bring our rogue to heal, bring our rogue home. Though many say that she may be in contention, I don't believe as such, because she has not made any allies, nor alliances, nor stated which house she actually is part of. Karen being a long deceased member of our chantry and of no particular house or interest, leaves the rogue witch Miss Green completely out of sorts. In fact, not to spread gossip too far and wide, if I am not mistaken, Sylvia was last seen speaking to or with Miss Green. I wouldn't hint or toss allegations that Miss Green may be responsible for Sylvia's disappearance, but I would not put it past her. After all, she has spent so many years on her own. Not even a wizened instructor near at hand. I thought she was dead for years, but clearly she was not.
That's very interesting. I know we pretty much need every hand we can get and all the knowledge we can have.
Of course.
Be interesting to have somebody come from the outside in.
Yes, especially being as with all of the changes and all of the lack of proper inclusion here in Chicago, having an outlier that is not directly willing to heal and obey our rites of passage is a bit problematic for me personally. Sylvia was a friend, of course. I'm sure that you felt the same in regards to Sylvia, correct? You and James are both upstanding members of the pyramid, correct?
Yes, of course. We always want the structure.
That is a very, very good thing to know. But I know that it is a little early shortly in the evening. I'll look forward to any call or any contact you have, and I'll keep you abreast as to when the adjudicating would be needed.
Yes, I look forward to the call. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. And he ends the call. Now, that's a small bit of a turn. As for the most part, one of the many reasons why James accepted the position as regent of the south suburbs and you two are in this area, not just because of your ties to the community, but because of your knowledge that here in the wilds of the outlying collar counties outside of the true grip and grasp of the actual main chantry of the main pyramid of the Midwest, you all are able to exercise your freedoms of choice and pursue various esoteric paths of knowledge, namely James's predilections and his pet project of studying the ebb and flow of the supernatural world, the ley lines that connect one place with the other, the ley lines that provide mystical energy all around the globe, and how those forces can be shaped. It's one of the many reasons why, even as, for lack of a better word, James is at heart a true anarch and keeps company with Faustina, that he appreciates the freedom, though the protections of the chantry itself. One of the reasons why he's so diverse in his pool of contacts and associations. So, knowing all of this and knowing that the machinations, there's a game at play, and knowing the light social association, several other members of the pyramid, both higher in esteem and lower in rank than you, as well as those just outside, what is it that most immediately presents itself to Everett's keen eye?
As he, the conversation going, he was just making mention notes, and of course, he's quite curious because this is probably the most one that he probably going to have his hands on most of the time, or even right then and there, is him being a judge or like a jury of another trial when he has some say, but usually he's not completely involved within the whole Tamil chantry of Chicago and then northeast. What was it? The northeast side.
Yes.
So he's kind of interested on why they would choose him, but I don't know. I mean, he preferred to when she started talking and all that. He's pretty much used to it, but he's kind of astounded. Well, for her to be like poor, like anti-patriarchy and power to the women, he was like confused on why he was slut-shaming her. So he's very interested in her and her motives. And then on top of that, when she freaked out because she was a bit crazy, not gonna point fingers at anybody, definitely gonna point fingers at our group. And when she fucking in his head did something even he probably couldn't even do, he was like, oh shit, wait. And of course, he probably hasn't had the time to kind of investigate how she knows that or whatnot, and it's probably definitely going to come up during the trial. But yeah, that's probably the first thing that sticks out to his head is her in the trial, since he's going to have a hand in it.
Okay. And while all those thoughts of the many machinations of the chantry of the pyramid rifle and ruffle through Julian's mind, the other phone rings. The dreaded burner phone as assigned by Duane and Geneva for the mission that lays ahead of the troop. There's a dress just cross Sibley on the eastern portion of Dalton, near Lincoln and Dorchester, where they cross Sibley. The area is known for being one of the few domains carved out for a specific kindred. That kindred, of course, being Gabriella, the former angel, sweetheart, investor, and fixer that was called on by many a kindred as the kinder, gentler version of Odo, who is the hammer and would be Boulevard or Baron. He's the independent fixer that has every intention of solving every problem as quickly and often as savagely as possible. His legend and the rumors and gossip about him is that not only is everything a nail, but he has also been known to hammer hammers into certain situations to fix what needs to happen. Whereas Gabriella was the kinder, the angelic, the fixer that would find a harmonious way to get things accomplished.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when after me, Abno, and David came from what's it called? Is- Asylum? Asylum?
Elysium?
Elysium,
Elysium.
yes. We went to the ball, and they were talking about Abno's and Gabriella relationship, right? Sire and Challenger, right?
Would it have come up in polite conversation, or was that something that you guys would have just kind of held in your hat for later to explore? But public knowledge, based on what was shared in front of Geneva and with Dwayne, they have a connection of some sort, whether it's child and sire or Mala or what have you. There is definitely, or was definitely, a connection between them and Elias, who is most assuredly Geneva's childer. Not much is known on whether, for a fact, Abner actually is Gabriella's childer. Merely that he was connected and chosen by her, which doesn't bode ill or well for the outcome, considering that Gabriella, as far as many were concerned, was her death has shadows about it. Some say she died at the Queen of Spade. Some say that she had been dead for months or potentially almost a year prior. But what is known is that Gabriella no longer exists, and yet her domain has still been held nearly inviolable. No other kindred has moved into the area, even with its, its own little sources of income, its decent feeding pools, its very nearness to the expressway, which means ease of egress, it being right off of several main streets, making it a very potentially profitable domain to claim, both for financial means as well as blood, as well as vitae.
Yeah, of course, he's always interested in gaining power and learning secrets. So, of course, knowing all that there's a spot open in the domain, he's of course he's probably checking out it online. It's like, oh look, oh that's that building is in that domain. Oh, that's a nice building. He's probably just investigating how what they have and how to want it if he ever gets the chance to want it, if anything, basically.
Yeah. Well, the address that comes across, is for the pseudo Asian restaurant Yoshama. It's not quite a hole in the wall, but also not quite fine dining. It is a very comfortable mid ground as far as things go. You hear good reviews as to their food and what they offer, but all in all, it is most assuredly not the sort of place that he would frequent, because it does cater to all sorts. It is not, in fact, rarefied air.
Hmm. He's kind of looking at the tags and he was like, well, I mean, and he looks at the time and it just pretty much just became evening, right?
Yes.
Well, I guess he doesn't really know what it's for. It might just be a social call, it might just be a work call, but either way, he probably just gonna get ready and head out.
Okay. Well, moving so promptly and quickly to the location means that he is there alone. There are no other members of his troop near at hand. He didn't spot anyone. He didn't see anyone. Are there any other precautions that he would take to ensure that he is by himself or alone, or is there anybody else at hand?
Mm, if no one's there, he's just gonna, with his like soda bag that he brings with him just in case for business, he's probably just gonna blend in and, you know, uh, if the business is open, he probably
Yeah.
just, yeah, he probably just go in and see, be like, oh, I need a seat, and kind of, do the whole mobster type of thing where we always come in and there's like guy sitting there with like a glass, untouched glass of water, where he's just waiting, type of thing. He's probably just reading a book, something about mythology on some random creature.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. So as he settles in, and then has a glass of water delivered, a few moments later, the bathroom door opens just to his right. Now walks past him a whelp of a young man, uh, easily nearly 6 feet tall, a close cropped fade with a high top. He's dressed in a baby chorus t-shirt and a starter jacket that's clearly from the 80s or a throwback where they had the big team letters on the back. And while it seems incongruous upon closer inspection, you realize that no, that is not just a reproduction or vintage. It is the actual real thing. And the gentleman settles at your table, pulls out a few index cards from his pocket, looks them over really quickly, then slips them back away. Huh. You're the first to show up, huh?
I've always been told Oli is on time and on time is late.
Yeah, that's a philosophy you're probably gonna have to abandon sooner than later. When you get all of forever, time gets a little meaningless. I'm Damien.
Hi, you can call me Everett. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to be met, Everett. It's nice to meet you as well. Promptness definitely does have its benefits and boons. I'm not sure what you know about me. I prepared a speech if you would like me to go through.
Do I know anything about him?
Damien is, without a shadow of a doubt, the first of his kind. There has not been many sheriffs that are local musical royalty, yet Damien somehow manages to do both. He is, as far as anyone's concerned, the youngest, strongest sheriff there has been, and also, strangely enough, the fairest. It's clear that he is far more modern American in his ideals, despite his apparent youth, despite his ethnicity, despite the fact that someone who seems to be split between putting on shows that have fans ranging from early 60s to early teens. He still does a decent job. He still does a good job, and he has somehow found a way, as far as rumors are concerned, to broaden the support that the sheriffs have by increasing the sheer volume of hounds. Many think that he's forming a army version of a police force, but so far, outside of the disco and the mess that happened with Stryker's Empyrean Party, he has been the most non-problematic, successful sheriff in Chicago's recent history.
Everett was like, oh no. I mean, I know you, Bug. You probably is the best that we ever have. You don't have to do all of that.
Excellent. I really hate the speeches. You don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But Prince Jackson and Geneva, all of that political machinations and old school vampire shit is a little bit above my pay grade and a little bit above my head. All the same, we have this arrangement. We have this agreement with Prince Decker in Milwaukee. That's where you all will be heading to meet with his man at arms, J.W. Blue. You guys will do whatever they need and get back to your lives with whatever agreement Geneva and Jackson have worked out. You okay with this? Not that we have a choice in the matter, but knowing where you stand definitely fairly important.
You gotta do what you gotta do, and I understand that we always have business to attend to.
Well, Your man Cyprian has already been loaned out to us, and Dwayne states that you guys are the best available and most willing to help. So that definitely will work in your favor, I suppose. Excuse me. I definitely need something to drink. He gets up and moves to the counter, ordering a Coke before sitting back down. All right. So, in a few minutes, the address to the Black Rose in Milwaukee will be downloaded to your phone. Not sure how you're getting there, but the road has been hell as of late. There's a lot of activity. So, slow and steady, trying to avoid trouble, stay out of off everybody's radar is about the best way to go. If you leave within the next hour or so, you should be able to get there with enough time to scout the place and find a place to lay your head. Decker's not known for his generosity or his kindness, but he's a pretty fair guy as far as things go. A little intense, but I'm sure you can hack it.
Well, I was a college student, so I'm used to cup ramen back in the day.
Yeah, no, I never had the pleasure. It was always so too expensive for me. But, and he checks his phone. Yep, the information should be already downloaded to your phone. It's a proximity thing. Um, G is our tech person, and she's put in certain safeguards to keep us as safe as possible, just in case you lose your phone or what have you. So, I'll leave you to your travel arrangements, and good luck. Get there, meet with JW. The meeting is actually scheduled for tomorrow, though I'm sure getting there early would most assuredly help get you settled in.
Yes, thank you so much. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Well, thanks.
I'm a bit curious about him. I want to read his body language. Am I able to?
Sure. Wits and persuasion, or wits and awareness, whichever is higher for you.
Would my specialty and instincts help with me?
Sure. Go ahead and add that an additional die for your willingness to pry openly.
Yep. I'm gonna willpower that.
Okay. He is strangely at ease. He is comfortable, and this is more business at business sake for him. He has no feelings about the matter one way or the other, though it is clear that he does not wish to go to Milwaukee himself.
Yep. And as he's saying goodbye, he kind of takes that information and in his head is like, "Yeah, I feel you. I feel you." But of course, he makes his way, and now he's thinking about how the hell am I gonna go to Milwaukee?
Well, the good thing is that there are several ways to get to Milwaukee. You can take 41 down and around. You can take 90 there. You can, go west and take 55 up and around where it merges onto the 90. Getting there via the expressway isn't that difficult. Being a non-living entity and suffering the slings and arrows of the risk of exposure that happens on the expressways is another matter entirely. There's a whole cottage industry of kindred who make it their business to travel so that others don't have to because of the prevailing issues with travel. Sometimes you can get away with little to no incident, but then others, it is a miracle that you all are able to leave the cities at all. So does he have someone who has a car? Does he have the ability to drive? Is he willing to hazard that by himself? Is he going to enlist favor, or is he going to reach out to someone? How is Everett going to make it to Milwaukee in enough time to make it to the meeting tomorrow night?
He's kind of like, "Oh shit." Usually the driver is David, and the last time he drove, I mean, he didn't know exactly how to drive, but just how to go, and him going on busier roads is probably something dangerous. And he's like, "Well, shit, what do I do?" And he was like, "Oh my god, this is the 21st century. We have Uber and Lyft, but do I even want to take those?" So he's probably just kind of walking around, to not, raise suspicions and trying to think of the right way to do it. But, this isn't his expertise, so he's going to have to rely on somebody. So he's probably going to think of somebody that does the messages and probably be like, hey, I need you to damage into the city. Can you damage into the city type of thing?
Okay. Well, as much as he would prefer not to necessarily reach out to people that matter to him for such thing, there is the very real fact that he knows that Vernon still drives, still goes on road trips with his wife, Amalia. Is very much involved in the occasional trips out of state. And Norma, well, she's all but a jet setter. Even with her fear of flying, the opportunities to get there using his resources are not that problematic or difficult as the fact that he would have to rely on someone else, however. And the question is, would he?
That's very difficult because he is not a trustworthy person, and he definitely tries to separate his life between then and then and now. So he's like, he doesn't really know, honestly. I mean, stuff happens all the time. Of course, he's worried about them, but if anything, he just hopes he doesn't want to rely on people to do stuff, especially if it's something that can be used against him. He doesn't like that, so he'll probably keep that close to heart. He probably won't put any other protection for them.
Okay. So that being the case, which of his socio-political resources would he reach out to? That is, it's not the hugest of undertaking. After all, it is literally just a drive. But by the same token, it is still a drive.
So, as this being something for the city, he's probably going to want to have somebody within the city to take him rather than having somebody from the outside. So he'll probably want to rely on his status to kind of help him that they're in one piece, basically.
Okay. That being the case, who would he be willing to reach out to in that regard? Would he work his Tremere contacts? Would he work his occult extended community contacts? How would he choose? What would he choose to offer in that regard?
Actually, as he was thinking that, something else comes in mind, and he's thinking about his hood. They have cars, and they'll probably want to drive him around. So, actually, as he's kind of coming up with an idea, he's like, hey, why don't I call up somebody that, think it's his place and see if they want to go out, or if they want to go take him somewhere.
Really? That is an investment.
Yeah. It's, he's kind of like, well, he's not stepping on anybody else's toes, and he's not having to give something away type of thing. And hey, I mean, if some of his boys want to drive him up there, he's fine with that. It'd be an interesting ride.
It always is. In a straight shot with no speeding and no traffic issues, Milwaukee is just under 3 hours from where you are to there. From your home, your haven, to Milwaukee is just under 3 hours, which doesn't seem like all that much of a time, but for a kindred leaving their city, leaving their comfort, it is the second riskiest thing outside of, having a rap battle against a lupine. would you be so kind as to roll your herd, your charisma, and your drive for me, please?
Sorry about that. I forgot the hunger.
No worries. Oh, lovely, lovely. That gives the benefit of 2. Let's see. 2. That 2. Fate be in your favor. Haha. So your Jake arrives in his pimped out and very ostentatious Maserati sedan. It is a pearlescent peacock blue with lightly blue tinted windows. It is a car made to show off. It is polished and even at night shines bright enough to catch almost everyone's eye as it moves, because as the light hits it directly, you can clearly see that it is a pearlescent peacock blue, but in the shadow where the light plays off of it, you are able to see that it is a darker color. It moves, shifts, and swims through the light, focusing the gaze. It is a car that most have never seen and most will never see. And as such, part of you, the paranoid, Tremere part of you, whispers in your ear. It is the flash that catches the eye. And as you all get on the road, what have you packed? Have you packed a full suitcase? Have you packed any spell books? Have you packed any grimoires? Have you packed any notebooks? Or is this just a give and go and you pick up some things on the other side?
He definitely bought his bags of Chimera business. So he definitely have, vials of his blood, a wand, some not PC cups to, hold in his blood if he ever has to do a ritual. He probably has like a book or two of, spells and whatnot to, make sure, oh, he's doing this right, or if he need to remember something, he has that. But basically, this is just his business bag, and of course, he wasn't expecting to leave right then and then, so he'll probably just have to, stop or buy some clothes on the way or whatever.
Okay. Now, it has been forever and a day since your human ties and connections have been more than a passing mention, more than, and it's made you not lazy, but a little relaxed, a little laxed, a little lapsed in your daily upkeep in regards to rituals and wards and wariness and scrying and all of that hoopla and rigmarole that has helped you stay ahead of the many entities and beings that may feel wronged or may have felt wronged by you over the course of your relatively long life. As you and Jake get on the road, moving from your home across Sibley towards 94, turns on the autopilot and GPS and has your route mapped out to the Four Seasons and downtown Milwaukee, so you guys have a nice suite of rooms where you alight and rest and refresh, and he's hoping to spend more than a few moments engaging each other's time. Unfortunately, he is as wary as he is blithe, meaning that he is not. So as you pick up the headlights, as you all merge from the 94 into the near downtown areas of Chicago, passing all of the construction workers who are still, strangely enough, working, and the police cars zooming by over the bridges, as you pick up the headlights in your rear view, some of David's and Abner's paranoia rubbing off on you, you are a little surprised. He has not, considering the fact that you saw them, you see them from the passenger seat, means he, the driver, should have picked them up several miles ago. Lo and behold, he does not until they're right up the top of you. There's a huge SUV that pulls along your left, merging seamlessly from your shadow, passing on the driver's side. As it begins to pass and fall in line with a smaller, sportier utility vehicle pulled along the passenger side. The passenger on your left is staring intently at the car, while the driver on your right is focused on the car as well. Are you seeking to call out, or otherwise do something, engage something, or merely hope that they are just angry, typical Chicago road ragers?
Is the SUV the same SUV at the laundromat?
No, it's not an Escalade, but it is equally large. It is still equally black on black, and it is clear that either they're just standard Chicago road ragers or something else, because while they are focused on the car, there is some bit of anger that seems to be wafting even through your closed window and the comforts of the Maserati you are slipping into sumptuously. The soft leather against your back, the heated seats, not overpowering enough to cause a burn, but enough to cause a small massage, as they both actually vibrate as well and massage the derriere and the back and the lower lumbar, giving you just the right amount of support that if you were human, you would easily drift it off to sleep.
He definitely doesn't like this whole him being boxed in within two cars. Is it a busy road? Are there other vehicles, or is it just us three?
It is a busy road. You guys are on Dan Ryan, just past the 18th Street exit. So you're getting ready to mount that curve that leads further north and blends with gives you the options of egress off and onto the main downtown, those central business district streets. You can pass Harrison, where you can go onto 290. You're going to come up on Jackson and Adams and all of those exits, which are, strangely enough, as you move closer into the downtown, instead of being on your right like most exits are, they'll be on your left.
He's kind of like, well, I don't know what they want, and he's gonna catch eyes with his driver, and he's gonna use memorism and say, lose the tail.
Really? All right. That being the case, go ahead and give me that cheat sheet. Your full stats here. You got your roll.
Is it if it's a non-resisting motor? I don't have to roll for anything. Just have to roll the rouse.
Yeah, I just wanted to see the number of successes you have, how thorough it is.
Okay. Let me see. What was it? Manny and Dominate.
Yeah, I just want to see how thorough he's going to be, how thoroughly zealot like he'll be in attempting to lose.
Willpower. Nope. I'm gonna. Fuck. I can't willpower that.
So, yeah, remember, you automatically start with a 1 success against any human. So each additional success adds to their and their willingness. He's not resisting at all. So you automatically have 1 success plus those 2 you just rolled, means that he is thoroughly and very attentively attempting to lose tail. And he infers what you mean by that and begins to attempt whipping through traffic. When he steps on the gas and begins whipping left and right, trying to thread the needle, he takes the off ramp on your left at Adams, basically. And the moment he does, literally cutting off the car to his left, he unfortunately is not as skilled a driver as he thinks no one usually is. And the life of a day trader, no matter how successful, usually doesn't lend itself to high-speed chases. Having rolled for his successes ready, he comes barreling off the expressway, and as the world blurs by, Everett's heart, as cold and dead as it is, freezes in his chest as he takes the off-ramp in the Maserati, going at least 60 miles faster than he should. The car is airborne. It crashes into an Amazon delivery van, skidding to a stop, spilling its contents across the street. He, unfortunately, is not in the best of states. Crash being far more jarring than it should. The crumple zones doing what they are designed to do, which is to crumple to mitigate the forces applied to the passengers and drivers of the vehicles. The airbag having smacked into him and into you, wish for the very real surcease of unconsciousness, the ability to sleep from the impact, much like your driver Jake, well-meaning and dedicated to the potentials of the joy and ecstasy you provide, is far less skilled driving than he is manipulating the stock market. You don't have the ability or benefit to pass out. So as you are laying on the hood of Maserati and he is laying passed out, still in the driver's seat, the seatbelt having done its job, you see the wheels of those SUVs come to a stop within 10 feet of the car. What you choose to do. Not unconscious, you are a little injured, but not noticeably so. Your dead skin and the unwilled movement of vitae not causing the spray of blood and spattering that Jake suffered. You're sure that he's going to have at least one black eye from this crash.
Am I able to see within the vehicles at the faces?
Laying upside down as you are, you see the boots as they get out of the vehicles, begin moving toward the car.
I'm like thinking, oh shit. At least are the nice boots at least?
They strangely are. They are nubuck and clearly properly sized. There's no slide or give in there, and the soles of the boots are thick enough. If you were not paying attention to them draw closer, you most assuredly would not hear them draw closer. The clear leader is wearing a slightly lighter brown as he crouches next to the car. Mr. Yeager, I presume.
I don't know who you are, but hello. My driver seems to not be such a good driver in the sense that he doesn't know the speed limit.
No, he did really good. He forced us to reveal ourselves far sooner. So, to reward his clear intentions of keeping us, we will shoot. We won't blow up the car if you come with us peacefully. Otherwise, we'll set the car to flame and what's left of your body from wreck before you exsanguinate and leave him here in it. If you come with us peacefully, we'll even call the police and notify them as to crash before anyone else can.
Do I even know who he is? Like, is this some type of like real government thing? But like, oh, we know you, come with us type of thing, or is this like kindreds?
This is, you know what? Let's see. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll an occult? Because they are wearing the sigils of their on their over their left breast pocket on their jackets. So it may be a symbol you've seen before.
I'm gonna willpower that.
Ooh. Not only do you know exactly what they are, you didn't think knights existed in this day and age anymore. They all died out in the mid-'80s, maybe early 90s. But instead, sitting before you are Knights of St. Judas. They are a predominantly Christian, though they have connections across the spectrum of other religions. You and they had several engagements before they were driven out of Dalton by you and James's efforts. You thought that with them being such a fringe discipline that there wouldn't be any further incursions. But it seems as if your peace, Knights of St. Judas, was just hope.
He's like, fuck, the fucking church. Of course, they had to be the fucking Catholic, fucking Judas. Of course, he's like, well, I don't know. But this is a rather weird pickle for him. I mean, do I just go with my enemies, or am I just going to be like, no, you don't know who I this is not the joys y'all are looking for type of thing. And I'm sure these people aren't gonna be like, "Oh no, we aren't looking for you." Is this a Tramiel church, or is this more of just them of different clans and they're just within the church?
They are, again, across the spectrum in regards to religions, but they are definitively 100% a church. They do ceremonies, they do have scriptures, and they do have ceremonies. And as Knights of St. Judas, they are, without a shadow of a doubt, zealots. The offer of burning out the vehicle is definitively a decided action. You can bet your entire savings and when what they say they intend to do, they very much will do everything they can to do just that.
As long as you show me a good time, I'm always looking for pleasure.
Excellent. I'm
And
not sure what you define as pleasure, but we will do our best to ensure you don't reach it. Right this way, please. And he even offers his gloved hand to help you out of the.
ooh, his gloved hand. Shit, that's a good question. Let me read something with that really quick, because I think you know what I want to do.
I understand what you would like to do.
Yeah, it's the concept of if I can, if it's gonna work.
Well, there is always nothing beats a failure but a try.
I mean, shit. This is some type of weird shit, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna not treat me like a queen. But he kind of have nowhere to go, and he'll just go with it. Why not? It's been a long time since you've seen them.
Yes, it has been quite some time. His driving them out of Dalton and what him and James believed was out of business in its entirety. They've heard very little in regards to Knights of St. Judas. They've heard very little in regards to their activity. Yet here they are, suited and booted and dressed surprisingly well, as if their coffers have been filled. And with that thought, you are escorted from your vehicle to the trunk of the SUV. Inside the trunk of the SUV is a box. It's a metal box. The thing that is strangely enough is there actually, as they open it, as you draw near, there's a pillow inside. Of course, has the Stations of the Cross embroidered upon it, but it is still interesting. After you, sir.
Y'all never take the expenses out of pleasure. Well, thank you for your generosity. And I'm going to get inside the trunk, and he's already thinking of a plan to alert people.
As you get into the trunk, they close the box. The vehicle begins driving away. You can hear a muffled call to 911 and a clattering of something drops out of the car as they speed away into the night. And with the very well-appointed metal box that Everett is ensconced in, we pull back and away from Mr. Yeager and the Knights of Judas driving north along 94. I want to thank you for the lovely shot and can't wait to see what becomes and what falls over us over the next few sessions. And I will leave us here. In Craig and our one shot.